Welcome everybody to this very special live edition of the Time for Impact podcast with myself, Chris Wade, and my co-host is here as well. Hello, Matt. How are you?
Hi, Chris. I'm good, thank you. I'm coming live from the Mercure Hotel in Northampton. You'll be pleased to hear.
The glamour.
Yeah, well, earlier Rick Astley was playing in the background quite loudly, so hopefully you can't hear that now. It's been replaced by Queen, but yeah, really great to be here and looking forward to another exciting conversation.
Brilliant. And as I said before, this is a live edition. We're recording with a live audience. Sounds very pretentious, but with a live audience from the Heritage Volunteering Group's Transforming Communities conference. If you've not been to a Heritage Volunteering Group conference before, maybe you're not in Heritage Volunteering, or maybe you're not in the UK, I really do recommend it. It's definitely one of the highlights of the volunteering conference calendars. You'll know that if you're a regular listener to the podcast, that we try to, well, our mission is to help the volunteerism profession be more creative, to push the envelope, to think outside the box, choose your own metaphor, to really drive volunteering forward. And we do that by bringing guests in who we think are doing innovative, creative, and groundbreaking, certainly inspiring work in the field of volunteerism. Because this is a heritage volunteering event, we thought, well, who should we have on board? And we thought it's not just about having people who are doing creative things, it's also about looking outside our usual area. So we thought it'd be nice to bring in some international guests into this podcast. So we've reached across, 3,500 miles across the Atlantic to Toronto, and we're really pleased to welcome Saskia Rinkoff from the Harbourfront Centre in Toronto, Canada. So hi Saskia, how are you?
Good, thank you, Chris and Matthew. It's nice to meet you too.
Great, we're excited to have you here. I think the easiest place to start would be just to ask you to tell us a bit about yourself and about the Harbourfront.
So Harbourfront Centre is an arts and culture centre. It's a not-for-profit registered charitable organization that offers year-round programming in the arts in every imaginable genre. And we manage 10 acres of land that has a lot of indoor and outdoor venues that we animate with various programming throughout the year. So it's a very busy site. We have approximately 6.3 million people come through, and they come from all around the globe, as well as locally and nationally. So it's a really busy space, and with that, of course, we need volunteers on site to facilitate all of our programming. And myself, I started when I was studying at U of T, at the University in Toronto, in Russian language and literature and fine art history. I was aware of all the festivals in town and a vibrant arts and culture scene, and realized that's my place to be. I want to volunteer and get involved. And then over time, as happens with many volunteer management professionals, they stumble into that role. I started out in other areas within the Toronto International Film Festival, in operations and communications and other departments, and then realized that volunteer engagement is what I enjoy, and then started to focus in that area.
Brilliant. And one of the things when we spoke before, and what really struck me as really impressive was the sheer cultural diversity, both of the sort of the exhibitions and the activities happening at the Harbourfront Centre, but also of the volunteers and the community interaction with what's going on. Do you want to tell us a bit about how that all fits together in terms of that sort of real vibrancy of community involvement?
It's really lucky. I think of course, Toronto is the best possible place because we are a place where a lot of people immigrate. And so it's natural that we have a very diverse population that we can tap into and get involved in civic engagement. But I'm really proud to see how diverse our team is. Not only in terms of age groups, the youngest ones are 16 years old, our oldest ones are in their late 80s, and they all work side by side and closely with staff. In addition to that, we also represent, I think at the moment we have about 36 different languages represented on the team, which also speaks to the diversity of the community. And they all enjoy the varied programming that we have, because throughout the year, especially during the summer times, we have cultural festivals happening. Almost every weekend we celebrate a different culture. And I think that resonates with the community because they can tap into what's familiar to them or explore something new and different they haven't discovered yet. So it's an ideal situation for us, to be honest, to be able to work with such a diverse group of people.
Saskia, I'd be really interested in exploring like what you feel some of the benefits are of having that really diverse volunteer team. I think many of us are probably trying to deliver this in our own sort of working lives with volunteers. I think it's something a lot of us strive for, but it's difficult to work out sometimes the answers. But I'd be really interested in, as someone who's really achieving that, what are the benefits? What are you benefiting from having that really diverse set of volunteers at the Harbourfront Centre?
I think what's really valuable is that we are exposed to so many different perspectives and that we learn to work and accept each other and be open to new ideas and different approaches. I think it really fosters the togetherness and that we can accept different people from around the globe. I think it's very beneficial to have that. And so, yeah, go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to ask, what role that the centre plays in that community cohesion. You said it's a city of lots of migration. It sounds to me like the Harbourfront Centre has a role to play in that sort of social cohesion, that community cohesion, as being the sort of almost like a focal point of that melting pot of fantastic cultures.
Yes, I think what helped was also to establish that partnership that we have with CultureLink, which is a settlement and immigration services organization. And what we did is we matched newcomer clients from CultureLink with mentors, volunteer mentors that are volunteering at Harbourfront Centre and who have a professional background. They may have been working as engineers or in banking or in any kind of field for many years, and some of them have retired but are still tapped into those networks. And we matched them with those newcomers to Canada. So we created 6 circles, 6 mentors who then supported 3 or 5 newcomers to Canada for 35 hours. And what we did is that they would meet up on a weekly basis to practice English conversation, explore the work culture in Canada, have an exchange of experience, immigration and settlement experiences, but at the same time, they would also participate in volunteer activities at Harbourfront Centre. So they would come down as a group and contribute to programming on site. So for instance, on Canada Day, we had, as it happened, an event happening with IRCC, Immigration, Refugees and Canadian Citizenship, which is a government department that also supports CultureLink. And we happen to have a Canadian citizenship ceremony on our site. So this was ideal for the Canada Connects group to come down and support this particular event. So they not only helped with registering the new Canadians, but also with front of house duties, and then experienced the ceremony itself and playing a pivotal role in terms of sitting at individual tables, leading conversations with those new Canadians about their journey and interacting storytelling practice. And it was just such a beautiful, special event, and it was meaningful to those newcomer volunteers who aspired to become Canadian citizens. It was just like a full circle moment in my mind, and just a wonderful experience.
It sounds brilliant, Saskia. And I think we talk a lot on this podcast, anyone that listens regularly, about this notion of a sort of a dual benefit or a sort of multiple value of volunteering, where the organisation benefits from the time someone gives, but there's also a lot that the volunteer themselves benefits from as well. It feels to me, correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels to me a little bit of your approach is about the act of volunteering is very much part of that dual benefit. It's like it's deliberately kind of almost designed to benefit the volunteer through the time they give and immerse them in the programs and the culture, and a way they experience the Harbourfront Centre seems to be through their volunteering. That's an option. And is that right? Would you say that's part of your approach?
Yes, I think that's really a good way of describing it. I think to me it's important to approach it in a holistic way, that it should involve not only the volunteer, but also meet the organization's needs and how it fits into our mission and vision in terms of programming. So it all ties in together. I think that's part of what I like about volunteer engagement, that it has this endless creativity in it, that you can play with ideas and see how you can bring things together so that it makes sense, that all parties involved can benefit from the experience.
I love that idea of sort of the playfulness of volunteering. That's beautiful. Sorry, Matt.
So I'm really interested in the sort of that playfulness idea as well, and where that, I don't know if there's any examples you have, Saskia, of like interesting places that's taken you, or interesting, things that's led to. I'd love to hear some more examples of some of that creativity in action, if you've got any.
One other example I can think of is we had a youth volunteer photography program. And again, it's sort of the same idea, that we reached out to people who were active in photography clubs or were professional photographers. And again, we recruited about 6 mentors who then were matched with 5 youth between the ages of 14 and 18. And together they attended workshops about photography and then would go out into the field to capture the events live. And as it happened, one of the mentors was a professional pinhole photographer. And so we built a workshop around creating your own pinhole camera with just cardboard boxes and some copper wire and film. And she guided the whole team, like 30 youth, and the mentors through that process. And then sent them out into the field, and they took photos and had really a great time exploring a different way of working with film and camera. And in addition to that, we also transformed one of our sponsorship cars into a pinhole camera and positioned it at an event, and then took some photos. And at first, we didn't know what to expect. So at first we overexposed everything, and then we learned from that and made the necessary adjustments, and then took some pictures, and then presented that in an exhibition at the end of the festival, that we had all their photos on display and invited their families and a friend to see the exhibition and celebrate their accomplishments while also sharing the didactics.
Yeah. One of the things I love about the work that you do is, first of all, the sheer scale, the sheer number of volunteers that you have involved on a regular basis. Well, not even on a regular basis. Some of it's actually quite sporadic. So you've got large numbers of volunteers, some who are coming back time and time again, but also quite a lot of sporadic, occasional volunteering in a very wide range of settings, forever changing roster of events happening at different times, sometimes at the same time, I guess. Just the sheer management of and curating of the experience of that many volunteers doing very, very different things. That's quite some feat. How do you do it?
Well, thanks to Better Impact, the management software is absolutely essential. I think that makes such a big difference that we can really keep track of everyone and post all our opportunities and just give volunteers a chance to just pick and choose whatever they would like to get involved with. So we really steered away from having these strict expectations that you need to participate in 4 or 5 shifts every month. To me, it was more, no, you should find something that you enjoy, that speaks to you as a human being and maybe aligns with your skill sets, and or you want to learn and explore something new, and then participate, select what you want to do. Of course, we do go through the process in terms of having a brief conversation with them when they join the organization, explore what their interests are, and then match them with the appropriate roles that we have to offer, but also over time give them the opportunity to switch out. If they want to explore something else, do it, let us know, and then we'll open up those other opportunities to you. And so people are drifting in and out of the program. So we have volunteers, they may just come for one event because that's what they wanted to do, and we may not ever see them again. But that's fine. It's still 4 or 5 valuable hours that we can add to our accounting, but also that gave them joy. And then we have volunteers who have been with us for 42 years and they come in every week. So it's really to have it as flexible and as open as possible, I think is, again, only beneficial to the organization, because we have a consistent group of 400 volunteers that drift in and out of programming. And over time, they have their favorite programs that they want to join every year. We know, like when we have Summer Music in the Garden, which is like a series of summer concerts under a willow tree in one of the public areas. That's their favorite thing to do. So they come in for that particular program every year, and we may not see them for the rest of the time.
It feels like to me, Saskia, that like you're really living out and trying to define and trying to find out what it really means to offer flexible volunteering. I know it's something that we often talk about a lot, but sometimes it's really hard to put our finger on what it actually is or what it means to be flexible. But it seems like your mindset and your approach to this is really enabling flexibility. And I wonder, I suppose, I'm probably speaking to the wider audience on this call a little bit as well, as part of everyone that's involved in sort of heritage volunteering a little bit. It was like, I wonder if that's your superpower, right? This ability to sort of curate, bring in all that knowledge and experience you've got about curation and sharing knowledge and things into your flexible volunteering approaches. It really sounds like, Saskia, that's what you've really embraced in perhaps the way your museums and the way maybe perhaps the Harbourfront Centre offers different exhibitions and different experiences for people who are trying to experience the centre, so too you are around the volunteering offer. That turns over and is creative in the same way your exhibitions and activities are.
I think that is certainly true because we have such a wide variety of programming. It maybe allows for that kind of approach more, that we aren't so tied down with, like in a museum where you have exhibitions and they are there maybe year round, the permanent exhibitions, and you need to always have someone around who might be able to speak to the different pieces. For us, it's always changing. It's always in flux. For instance, we are getting ready for Winterfest, and it's really a celebration of our cold months in Canada and still bring people outside. So we have an outdoor maze that we built. We have a little carnival train that drives all around the campus. We have an ice rink to also celebrate our recreational programming. And the volunteers touch on all of that. So they may be skating on the ice rink, making sure that people are adhering to certain rules that we put in place. We have volunteers who drive the train around the campus, and they're excited about participating in that capacity. And then also people who may just sweep the maze in case someone gets lost, that they can safely take them out of the maze or show them where the emergency exits are. So the roles and the tasks keep changing as well. Some are traditional approaches that we still have in place as well, but then others are really just sporadic in the moment. They come out of the necessity of whatever we put on in terms of our programming.
Fantastic. Really, Saskia, I wanted to ask you about what the political drivers in terms of how you engage with your political and civic leaders in funding this, but I think we're going to run out of time. So I'm going to have to call the podcast to a close, and thank you so much for sharing your experience and your perspectives from Toronto. I see in the chat that there's lots of people wanting to book their flights to Toronto already. I think there's probably a spike in ticket prices as we speak. And there might be a call for the HVG conference to be held in Toronto next year. I know a venue, Matt, if you want to find one. But yeah, thank you for sharing your experience. I mean, it's just been lovely to, first of all, to hear about the flexibility and the creativity and the human-centered approach that you take to volunteering. You know, you said, find something that interests you as a human being. I think that's really good advice to anybody who wants to curate a volunteering experience. And the range of volunteering that you provide, the cultural diversity that you facilitate, and that cohesion that goes with that. We didn't even get into intergenerational volunteering, and I think a lot of the things that we spoke about before. But hey, this is a very short podcast episode. But thank you for everything you do, and thank you for sharing your experience with us here today live at the Heritage Volunteering Conference, but also for our listeners on the Time for Impact podcast. So thanks very much.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be part of it, and I hope everyone enjoys the rest of the conference and has a good time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So there you have it. That was Saskia Rinkoff kindly joining us from the Harbourfront Centre in Toronto on the occasion of the Heritage Volunteering Conference 2025. We recorded that in late autumn last year. I hope you enjoyed that episode, shorter than usual for reasons of fitting into the conference timetable. Short but sweet, I hope you think. If you liked that episode and you want to hear more, please obviously do subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if you liked it, please give us a rating. That's always appreciated. And there's often a comments option as well on your podcast channels, so you can feedback to us too. If you've got ideas for guest speakers, we've always got quite a queue of speakers, but we're always interested to hear from your ideas of people who you think are bringing really innovation to volunteerism. Or if you think that's you yourself and you want to be a guest on the podcast, please do reach out to us. We're always really delighted to have a conversation about anybody who's doing innovative stuff in volunteering. Please don't forget, that Time for Impact is, of course, not just a podcast. We are a volunteerism consultancy. We provide consultancy support to organisations of all kinds involving volunteers. We provide some tools that help you in your volunteering practice, such as our cross-sector survey and our volunteering impact measurement tool. Please do get in touch with us, and we can talk you through those and see if they are suitable to your organisation. And we provide lots of training, workshops, and conference keynote speeches and workshops, etc. So loads of ways for Time for Impact to help you in your volunteerism journey. So please don't be a stranger. We love hearing from you. Please do get in touch. Until the next episode, take care, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.